We often read that people today in the 21st century, a time wherein our global civilization is the wealthiest it has ever been, we live in a state of longevity for the most part. The average person has a much higher standard of living than he or she has ever had, and yet our lives are devoid increasingly of basic joy. We seem to be able to go to school and then finish university, get a job, meet Mr. or Mrs. Right, get married, have some children, retire, and die virtually without joy. Or if joy comes at all, it is only fleeting. 50% of all the marriages in the first world fail. And I would think there's not a lot of joy if a marriage fails, for sure. So the question becomes, why not? Well, I have some experience as a teacher why there is a lack of joy. I think that the learning experience, for the most part, for the average person, is not joy-filled because it's punishment, essentially. We have to learn a whole bunch of details about many absolutely useless things to attain some score so we can move up on the next rung of our educational hierarchy. Move up one more rung, grade 1 to grade 2, and so on it goes. Now, in many Asian countries, absolutely no one fails high school. Everyone will complete high school. In the West, in the United States and Canada, for example, perhaps 20% will never finish high school, depending on their social class or their race, right? They'll never finish, which is a guaranteed ticket to live a life without absolutely any joy. The chances of becoming a contented being without training in a modern civilization are very small, I would think, for sure. So the kids that are studying are just focused on their studies. They're not gaining the experience of learning. They're not learning how to learn. They're learning what to learn. And unfortunately, a lot of the school curricula are useless, really, in the modern world. I was reading today that a lot of high scholastic achievers now in China are totally eschewing going to a university, and they're getting practical training, becoming either a highly skilled machine operator or going into perhaps engineering, something that requires an actual task. And you can benchmark, you can judge this task. You're not being trained to quote-unquote think, which has its own, of course, implications for the civilization in a long-term sense. If we're only doers and very few of us are thinkers, we're going to suffer, aren't we? Leaving high school, we go to university, also somewhat painful, I would assume. And then you're hit in the face by work, and work for sure is not a joy-filled experience for the average person. Not at all. Because you have a boss, and the boss will treat you rather poorly usually, and if he doesn't do that, perhaps like a Ricardo Semler, it's an extraordinary experience, and you should stick with that boss forever if you can. But the Ricardo Semlers of the world are far too few, for sure, when it comes to modern capitalism. The average capitalist wants to extract the maximum value out of the worker. Of course, no question at all. So the question becomes, how do I actually experience joy? How? And the answer is given to us by many great scholars, for sure, like Eckhart Tolle, for instance. The power of now. The answer is to live in the moment. In reality, there is no past because the past is done. It's over. It's a memory. And there is no future because the future has not yet begun. The future is an illusion, to say the least. There is only the now. There is only this moment that will change in the next moment. So to grasp the moment, I can slowly be thankful that I am alive and all the other things that are associated with being alive. I can enjoy the clothing I'm wearing. I can enjoy the company I'm having. I can enjoy the walking I'm undertaking. All of these things become extremely important because I'm giving the now presence. So in theory, if I give the now joy, I have a joyful experience with the now, then I will have a joyful experience when I arrive in the future, which will also be the now. But I will have adumbrated my conceptualization of the future with this concept of it being the now once it arrives, so to speak. And all of these temporal things I will experience in life, growing up, having a family, etc., and then eventually getting old, these will all be joy-filled experiences because I will realize each of those moments are associated with, obviously, the now, right? With the moment I'm experiencing, so to speak. So I don't think it's hard to get here somehow, but it requires practice because we are so focused on the future. I don't want to stay in this moment. I want to get there. I want to be rich because I'm not rich now. I want to be happy because I'm not happy now. I want to find the right mate because I haven't got the right mate right now. But just perhaps that mate will never come in that sense, or that amount of money that you so desire will never happen. Are you then going to be disappointed in the future that you haven't achieved these things? Gosh, I hope not, because then you will never have joy, ever, will you? And I think this is to a large extent why people that are spiritual, the monks, the Dalai Lamas, people like this, really understand that each moment is to be filled with joy and gratitude that I'm here in the now, at present. So the next time you feel a little bit of disquiet with your own life, reflect on concepts like this, that I'm so happy that I'm me and I'm happy to be alive right now. Let me feel the joy. And you know what they say? Critical thinking is necessary, especially if you're going to experience joy in your life and be able to be a beacon of hope and joy with others. And critical thinking is great, truly great. You take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Dave here. Today is July 15th. This is the 24th day of our El Camino journey. The weather today, it has been pretty cool. It got a little warmer in the afternoon, but it was not very hot compared to some of the other days. Today, I would like to talk about joy. Okay, so we went from Astorga, a small medieval town, to Rabanal del Camino, a small village. Actually, Astorga is not too small compared to some of the other villages we've come across, but it's not as big as Leon or Burgos or Madrid or something like that. And joy. It was such a joyous day. Yesterday, we walked about 34 kilometers. And although the path was flat, it was a very long, strenuous journey. And we arrived at our albergue around 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and we ate dinner. And by the time we got to bed, or by the time we finished dinner, it was time to go to bed. Today, though, it was an easy 17 kilometers. There were some climbs, but it was short and sweet. Joy. It was such a joyous day today. The weather was beautiful. The sun was in the sky. You could hear the birds twittering and tweeting. And as we walked along the meandering paths up the mountainside, slowly creeping up, you could see the flowers. There was the violet and the lavender on the sides, the purple color. And the views were just so idyllic. We stopped for breakfast at a shop and we had some wonderful omelets filled with eggs and peppers and mushrooms, onions. And there we met some other pilgrims. Up to this point, the last few days, we didn't see many peregrinos or pilgrims as they call them. We didn't see many. But today we did, and we had breakfast with them. And as we continued along our journey today, they came with us and we talked about our countries. And it was just such a pleasant, relaxing walk in nature. It was warm, but it wasn't too hot, and everything felt calm. We felt at ease. What do you think, Leon?
Well, David is talking about our long walk yesterday and how we, in a sense, we suffered because it was a little bit too long. But the joy we had at the end, even though it was very late, we met the gentleman who was in charge of the Abergay, and he was truly one of the kindest managers that we've met since the walk has begun. He helped us, he made our beds for us, put the covering on our own beds, and then he helped us wash our clothes, and then he actually cooked us dinner, even though we were past the supper time. So that was a wonderful experience. But I was thinking about something today which is associated with joy. Now, usually we're too busy, right? We don't have time to stop and reflect on life at all. But there's a concept called the slow movement. And I think since we've actually begun this journey, this odyssey along the El Camino, we have learned what slow travel actually means because you can see nature resplendent in front of you. And we were able to talk to people from all walks of life, from famous musicians all the way to very humble people. Today we spoke to Hazel, for instance, from Taiwan. She spoke to us for a very long time. It was kind of a wonderful experience. So you think to yourself, how am I going to slow down in this fast paced world to experience joy? Because joy is not distant in some ethereal plane away from me. Joy is right now because all I actually know is right now. We spoke to a young man today who reminded us Eckhart Tolle's famous book, The Power of Now, right? focus on the now. And I think if you think to yourself, I'm going to slow down, I'm going to focus on the now, and I'm going to build the beautiful me. Because once again, as I often say, there is no one like me. There never has been, and there never will be. But usually I don't appreciate me because I'm in association with other people. Perhaps I have a relationship, I have a job, I have a future, I have parents, etc. But I don't focus on me. And that does not mean in an egocentric sense that I'm so special. It means that I have a contribution to make. But unless I stop and catch me, I will not exist truly. I'll never know the real me. And then it'll all be over. And at 69 years old, I can speak with some seriousness about this topic. Catch yourself. Remind yourself. Write in your notebook. As we were with the lady that served us breakfast this morning, I spoke to her for a few minutes, and she's a poet. And I asked her about her poetry and how she's going to describe her poetry and what she's going to do with her poetry. And I thought to myself, wow, it's been a very long time since I've actually met a poet. And maybe there were many poets around me, but I didn't stop to ask. I just didn't. What interests you? Because I was just too busy. So now, catch your joy in the power of now. Back to Dave.
Yes, as Leon and I are sitting here, we're sitting in this small town, and I see a group of 15 or 20 students, local students from Spain, the local towns and villages around here, and they are obviously on summer break now from their studies, and they are going to walk part of the Camino, just like Leon and I are. And I just look at them right now. They are having a wonderful time. You can see the joys of youth, the young men and women. I don't see too many smartphones out there. I just see young men and women, students, talking to each other, enjoying the moment, sharing some food together, and just living life in this way. And further up there, we saw a dog that was eager to pick up a stick, and she actually picked up a pilgrim's staff and was waiting for somebody to throw it. She had it in her mouth. Please, throw the staff. I want to play too. And the restaurant owner came out and swapped the staff for a small stick, and then he threw it. So even the dog was partaking in this joy. I guess my point is, like Leon was saying, the joy now, the joy in the small things. Take some time, stop, enjoy life now. Don't get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the future. And don't waste your time lamenting the past.
So just to close, I think we are not naive at all. We know that life is filled with mostly pain, and we all want to be successful in our own way. But I think the only person who's going to give me joy ultimately is me. It's not something external. It's not a social position in the future or a successful job or lots of money. The only person who can give me joy is me. So I think that's something to reflect on. So the slow movement, we'll post that up. And we'll put Eckhart Tolle's book up as well. So please have a nice evening. You take care. God bless.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.